Scrat climbs the ice, and suddenly his tongue gets stuck. So he uses his tongue like a rope, swings around, and hangs upwards. Seeing the acorn, he pulls it out of the ice, but water shoots out from the spot where he removed the acorn. He plugs it, but it shoots out from another place. At one point, he plugs it with his snout, gets filled with water, and flies off. And falls down. He is caught by an animal called a platybelodon, or hippo-like creature, and taken away. This place is a real animal water park. The kids complain, "Mr. Sid, it's hot." Sid says, "Start, oh, wait, now you will be satisfied," and just as he says, "satisfaction," the ice crumbles and he falls. Sid says, "Now I'm happy, I'm satisfied." When Sid emerges looking muscular from the ice, Rosie says, "Wow," in admiration. However, when Sid comes out of the ice, the girl says, "You." The kids catch Sid, play with him, and torture him. Just as they are about to bury Sid, Manny and Diego come and save him. Sid says to his friends, "These kids love me. Right, Billy?" When he asks, Billy says, "Billy, I'm ready to tie you up." Sid, embarrassed in front of his friends, says, "I am also a member of this herd. I created it, so you must respect me," and walks away. The beaver shouts, "Now I'm going to play with Manny." The two get scared and call Sid for help. Elsewhere, Sid is getting mad trying to get respect from the younger generation near the start. Manny seems to be telling the kids a story and calming them down. But at one point, the kids start eating Manny's brain, annoying him, asking, "Why is that there, why is this like this?" Since the story was about a family, a girl asks, "Where is your family?" putting Manny in a tough spot. Diego growls at the kids and chases them away. At that moment, two kids run past them yelling that the apocalypse is coming. It turns out Fast Tony told them that. An armadillo named Fast Tony is elsewhere showing that you can breathe underwater with a device, a reed, and selling his stuff. At that moment, Manny comes and asks why he is scaring everyone with the apocalypse. Fast Tony whispers, "Making money helps." Then he shouts, "In the next 5 days, a flood is expected. The apocalypse is coming." Manny tells everyone, even in his sleep, he would sell his own mother. "Do you want to be Fast Tony?" mocking him. Then Tony shouts louder, "No, I won't sell my mother." Manny announces to everyone that there will be no apocalypse. Suddenly, the anteater reports, "I don't want to question my self-preservation instincts, but didn't all the mammoths go extinct?" When Manny asks what he is saying, the anteater says, "You are the only mammoth." Manny replies, "And your mouth smells like ants." The anteater sniffs his own mouth and agrees, "You." But he doesn't stop asking, "When was the last time you saw mammoths?" Manny insists, mammoths are not dead, and they won't die. While they are arguing, Sid is about to commit suicide. He stands there saying, "1, 2, ready to jump." When Manny and the others go up, he is still there saying, "2 legs are heavy, 2 legs are better." Manny says, "Stop it." Sid says, "I'm going to jump, and then you'll respect me," and jumps, but luckily Manny saves him. But slipping backwards, they hit Diego. Sid comes out from under Manny. Worried about the ice under Diego, he jumps and climbs on top of Manny. Sid jokes, "Are you afraid of water?" Angered, Diego chokes him. Manny says, "Fast Tony is right, seeing that all the ice at the edge is melting." Manny says, "We need to warn everyone quickly." When Sid says, "Maybe we'll become swimmers," Diego says, "You're a genius, Sid." Sid leaves saying, "Call me captain." As Sid leaves, he jumps to check the ice. Suddenly the ice breaks, and they fall and slide down. Fast Tony is now unable to sell tree bark. Our trio slides from above and almost hits him. Manny shouts that what Tony said about the flood is true. He hides, saying, "You said there would be no flood." Manny says, "We saw everything happening up there, there will be a flood," and everyone laughs. Suddenly, a vulture appears and interrupts their laughter saying, "With the tip of the large sharp ice, there will be a flood." The vulture scares everyone saying this place will stink of death and they will die. But there is a boat at the edge of the village. Only if you get there will you survive. You need to hurry, otherwise you will die. However, there is good news too. Most of you will die. I will have lots of food. You keep the good news for yourself, they say, and he flies away. Sid says, maybe we need to learn to fly. Ice falls from above. Luckily, no one was hurt. Manny says, you all heard what the vulture said. We need to go, and everyone starts moving. Manny seems to hear a sound from the ice and stares at it. But Diego calls him, and Manny walks away. It is a predatory crocodile, Cretaceous, and a turtle-like creature, Maelstrom, in the ice. They are alive. The grandfather hedgehog doesn't want to leave. I was born here, I will die here, he says. A mother grabs her children and runs. The predatory birds that eat the dead are watching the people. Earlier, the anteater, passing by Manny, counts his children saying, look kids, the last mammoth. One child is missing, he was left behind playing with water. Something approaches him from under the water. Oh my, it's a turtle. The crocodile from earlier comes to eat him. But the turtle, Maelstrom, pulls it down under the water. Fast Tony is looking for him. Suddenly his shell flies out of the water. The armadillo takes his shell and runs to sell it. The monsters are the crocodile that ate the turtle. Scrat finds his acorn in the ice. The ice cracks, and the squirrel finds himself underwater. The acorn slips away, and Scrat runs through the water. He pulls it with his snout. However, unable to breathe, he lets it go again. He sticks his mouth out, cuts the ice with his teeth, and exits through this ice hole. Barely unable to get the acorn, he flings it away. It hits somewhere near, then far, and at that moment Sid, Diego, and Manny are walking by. On the way, Manny starts doubting, am I really the last mammoth? Suddenly they seem to hear a mammoth's voice and run in that direction. It turns out to be that long-necked creature, Charlie. Manny gets depressed, he doesn't want to be alone. You guys go ahead, I'll catch up, he says. Suddenly two possums throw rocks at Sid and Diego, hitting them like ping-pong balls. The two possums run to their dens. Sid can't catch them. Diego also joins this game, but unable to catch the two possums, Diego and Sid get tangled with each other and fall, defeated. Diego tells Sid, if we survive, we'll eat snake again, and to the two possums, you'll regret this, meats. Sid informs him, these are possums, and the possums laugh, haha, meats. Diego growls and chases them. At that time, Manny the mammoth looks at his reflection in the water and is mourning, it looks like our knees are bent, when a mammoth appears in front of him, a female mammoth. Manny is happy that he is not the only mammoth. The female mammoth climbed a tree looking for her brothers. Manny thinks there are more mammoths, suddenly the two possums run from Diego to the female mammoth. Diego and Sid are surprised to see the mammoth, but she thinks she is an opossum. The two possums call her sister. So the brothers she mentioned are these guys. Ours are surprised. Manny says, she looks like she's going to fall from the tree. When Sid tells Manny to let the female mammoth come with them, Manny disagrees, asking, are you crazy? Sid says okay and tells them, Manny is inviting you to come with us. The two possums also disagree, but the mammoth girl, Ellie, explains, if we go with them, they will protect us. Manny attacks Sid asking, why did you invite them? Sid answers, because you two might be the last two mammoths on Earth. Diego agrees with him. Manny says, do you guys work for a dating service? I don't understand. Ellie announces they agree to go with them. But the possums say, speak to us normally, and threaten, we will fight 2 on 2. Suddenly the sound of falling ice is heard. Manny says, thanks to Sid, we will travel together now. I don't know if you like it or not. But now we are one big family. I'll be the daddy, Ellie will be the mommy. Diego will be the uncle who eats my nerve matter, he orders saying, let's go. When Ellie declares, I thought chubby ones were always happy, Manny answers, I'm not chubby, just my fur is thick, and they set off. At that time, Scrat falls down trying to get the acorn. On the road, the possums and Ellie are racing. Manny tells her not to mess around, but Ellie asks something about planting from the horizon, unclear part. Saying everything is clear, Ellie continues her way. At one point, seeing a hawk from above, she plays dead. Ellie asks if the hawk flew away, Manny answers it flew away, and the possums stand up. Later on the road, Ellie expresses her deep sympathy to Manny, implying that he is the last mammoth. Manny tries to prove she is also a mammoth by showing how they look alike. Understanding the resemblance, Ellie says to him, "Maybe you are an opossum too." At one point they are walking on ice. Diego tells the two possums, "Hey, don't mess around, the thin ice will crack anyway," walking slowly in fear at the back. Suddenly something swims past beneath them. Suddenly breaking the ice, a monster shoots out. Diego gets stuck on the ice. Sid falls into the water. The crocodile from earlier comes out from under Manny. Attacking Manny from both sides, they flee. The crocodile chases Manny. Sid swims towards Diego. He reaches him. But Diego seems frozen in fear of water. So Sid bites his tail, brings him to his senses, and unexpectedly saves him. He survives too. The crocodile comes out to Manny and wants to bite him. However, it bites the mammoth's two tusks. Seeing Ellie behind, Manny decides he can't give up his dignity, and throws the evil crocodile away. The monsters look at Manny with angry eyes and go back into the water. Ellie says, "I've never seen such bravery." Manny says, "It's nothing." The girl declares that for possums bravery is stupidity, and that mammoths endanger themselves like this and go extinct. She advises, "Mostly you need to run." Manny gets mad at the advice. Seeing this, Sid teases Manny, "Did you like Ellie?" But Manny denies it, of course. Sid says, "I won't tell anyone your secret, don't worry." Sid tells Diego too. Diego asks, "Interesting, what secret?" Sid answers, that you can't swim, and says wonderful words, "We live in a melting world, sooner or later you have to overcome your fear." Elsewhere, Scrat slides down a slide and catches the acorn. However, he falls into the water. There are predatory piranhas in the water. When one of them puts the acorn in its mouth, Scrat gets mad and beats up him and the others, but the acorn slips from his hand. The possums, Eddie and Crash, and the mammoth girl Ellie are resting by a tree. When Manny asks Sid, "Do you think Ellie and I are compatible?" Sid answers, "Of course, she is so light-hearted, and you are the opposite, you complete each other." Crash asks Manny to throw him into the pond. Manny says no. When Sid says to him, "Don't you want to impress Ellie?" Manny agrees and throws him. He hits the ground a bit. He flies, hits a tree, and falls hard to the ground. Oh my, everyone runs to where Crash fell. When Ellie asks, "What happened?" Eddie says, "Manny threw Crash from the tree, and poor Manny who really tried to help is misunderstood." Ellie sulks. So Ellie gets offended at Manny. Everyone thinks Crash died. Manny answers, "My family story, mistake, Crash is playing." Ellie gets stuck in a tree and Manny tries to help. But Ellie says, "No, I'm not accepting help." As Manny says, "Fine then," and starts to leave, Ellie admits she can't get out. So Manny helps her and throws the tree aside. From the open path, Ellie sees a familiar place and walks there. Manny follows. Ellie had come here exactly when she was little. She entered a place like a cave. An ice cave covered in trees. It seems Crash and Eddie's mother took care of her since she was little. That's why she realized she is not an opossum, Ellie is a mammoth. On the way she admits to Manny, "I was a bit bigger than other possums, that's why the kids didn't consider me beautiful." Manny comforts her saying she is beautiful and graceful. Ellie marvels, "I woke up an opossum in the morning, and now I am a mammoth." The squirrel Scrat reaches a bird's nest and hugs his acorn. The bird chick wants the acorn for its egg. However, Scrat isn't about to give it, they fight shaking it. Suddenly the chick's mother comes and chases Scrat away. While Sid is trying to light a fire with flint, something rustles in the bushes. Sid thinks it's Diego, and Manny tells Ellie that he overcame his fear. Diego says he doesn't know what fear is. Sid points out, come on, all animals feel fear. That's what distinguishes us from rocks, and rocks sink. Diego cuts his hammock string, and he falls. The mammoth couple walk and talk. But Manny hints to Ellie, now you can reproduce, and offends the girl. When friends ask how the walk with Sid went, mistake, with Ellie, he answers, not bad. But Ellie walks past the possums rudely saying, you guys are putting out the fire, and leaves angrily. The possums call Manny shameless. Then the trio follows them. On the way Manny tries to talk to Ellie, but she doesn't want to talk. Suddenly the possums fall down, the earth cracks, and everyone almost falls. Thanks to Diego's leadership they stand without falling. Then he spreads his bed next to Diego and falls asleep snoring. Ellie puts her swings down and sleeps too. A predatory bird that eats the dead watches them, waiting for them to die. In the middle of the night, someone takes Sid with his bed. He wakes up and sees they are sloths like him. Everyone worships him. Oh, they are bowing, says Sid. A girl says, Fire King, and gives him flints, meaning, make fire. Sid makes fire, and his statue looks better. Everyone watches in amazement. Then Sid's foot burns, and when he says, ouch, ouch, everyone repeats, ouch, ouch. Everyone repeats whatever Sid says. Then they lift Sid, tie him up, and are about to throw him into the volcano. The girl from before comes and says, we will sacrifice you, and they throw him. Luckily, the rope Sid was tied to gets caught on a rock, stretches, and like a slingshot he flies up, swings back, the rock falls, and Sid rolls with the rock towards his friends. Dawn breaks, Diego sees Sid and gets scared, scaring everyone. Sid reaches them. The sloth tells his story, that little sloths worshipped him, but no one believes him, saying, it was just a dream. On the way, he says, walk slowly, or I'll die now. Seeing the birds that eat the dead, he says, it's just a figure of speech, and runs. The predatory birds have gathered. Manny declares, they are watching us. Sid wonders what they are thinking about. The birds that feed on the dead sing, tasty sauce, beshbarmak from mammoth meat, tiger with 6-span fangs fried with potatoes, boiling possums with their fat kids, making soup from the sloth. At one moment Sid gets into the song and dances with them, but then runs away. Thus the birds try to kill them. However, our guys are lucky and survived. Seeing this, the birds get upset and fly away. Sid says, our guys are almost at the boat. But on the way geysers are erupting. Sid initially says it's just a little hot water and steam. However, seeing the psychotic nature of the heat, he farts. Manny thinks they should go this way because it's the shortest route and time is running out. Otherwise, you'll drown. But Ellie is not ready to risk it. She wants to go the safe way. So the two argue, Manny goes through the geysers, and Ellie goes the other way with the possums. While walking, a geyser erupts in front of Manny, and he gets stunned, concussed, for a moment, unable to hear. After a while, he regains his senses and runs forward. Somehow he reached the safe place. Manny and Diego ask from afar if they saw the female mammoth and the possums. No one has seen them. Our Scrat climbs back to the bird's nest and hugs his acorn. But the chick flying by shows him, you're dead, fool. The ice cracks, water shoots out, and the flood begins. Ellie and the others are close to the boat. But alas, the exit is blocked by rocks. Through a small hole, Ellie says, take the possums and go. Eddie and Crash come to Manny and report that Ellie is trapped in a cave. Manny and the others run there. Oh, the flood is getting close. Must hurry. From the flood, rocks crack, Sid and everyone except Diego fall into the water. Manny swims close to the cave. The possums climb onto a tree. Manny moves the rock and tries to open the door. However, the rock won't move. When the possums call for help, Sid acts brave and dives headfirst. But he hits the ice and loses consciousness. Crash asks, who will save him now? The two barely hold him and call for help. Diego gathers his courage and jumps into the water. He swims just like Sid taught him. The tiger with 6 fangs saves them. He overcame his fear, well done. However, Manny still can't move the rock. Ellie struggles, makes a hole, and sticks her trunk out through that hole. Manny tries to pull her out by her trunk. However, something is dragging her down. It turns out to be those monsters that swim underwater. Manny fights them off. Then he decides to use their strength to save Ellie. When the 2 monsters come from behind, Manny jumps, and the rock blocking the cave falls on the 2 monsters. Manny and Ellie surface safely from the water. Our guys rejoice. Later when everyone gets on land, Sid rejoices. But seeing the water under his feet, he mourns, "Oh my, we are going to die." The rock under the boat breaks, and the boat falls into the water. That wall cracks, splits, and all the water inside the wall starts flowing out. Scrat is in the hole, saving the lives of many animals. Grandpa Hedgehog says, "I'm not leaving the boat." Suddenly the little sloths from before worship Sid in front of Diego. They invite Sid to their place. Diego says, "However, we need him. He created this herd, without him we are nothing," and Sid hugs him. Ellie and opossum see all this. Suddenly mammoths appear from many places. There are many of them, seeing mammoths rejoice. And other animals are astonished, because they thought they were seeing dead. So Ellie, being mammoth, knows she needs to go with them. But Manny can't say he wants to be with his friends, and Ellie, he doesn't convey his thoughts correctly. So Ellie walks away with opossums. Sid and Diego encourage Manny, and he runs towards Ellie and calls her. Manny climbs a tree and tells him he wants to be with her, expressing his feelings. The opossum tries tears of joy. Other mammoths confronted. Should I say it? How should I say it? They make a sound of joining their trunks, like elephants. Sid says to Diego, "Well friend, congratulations, we are not alone," when Diego says, "But your herd is leaving." Manny calls, "You are our herd." They continue their journey together. The squirrel Scrat ends up in paradise. Approaching the acorn there, just as he reaches out, something pulls him back, and he wakes up. It turns out Sid saves his life. But instead of thinking Sid, he gets mad and saying, "You deprived me of my high life."